Well, hello, my Teaserking family. Sorry, I'm on late. Busy day. Kind of got flipped around. The guy calls me at the worst time. I never see anything like it. Sorry, everything got switched around today. Uh, I had to do some errands in the morning, and then drove out, got to the pool, got some Chinese food, and then so it didn't make sense to come home first because it's from where I was. It was on the way to go to the pool, and then swimming's done, so now I'll do this. Anyway, hope everybody's well. Well, Mr. Silver, 82.51 up 575. Mr. Gold, 44.90. We're getting close. We're trying to break 4,500. Now we did break it before the holiday. It had went up to 45.30 or something. Got shot back. I don't understand the whole thing of 4,500 like it's the magic number. We're at 44.90. I think it's okay. Silver, we know what's going on, even though the AI idiot keeps saying, hey, it's JP Morgan shorting and they're doing margin calls. You notice the margin calls were done when there was no trading on Christmas, New Year's week. Everybody's on vacation. So it went down, which is fine because it's like football. If you have one team on the field and the other team's in the locker room, the one team on the field is going to score. So that's what happened. So basically, they played their margin calls, and people got sold out of their position that didn't want to. It just is more and more that the U.S. is broke. There's nothing they can do, so they're trying to get gold and silver because it's the only thing with money, as we know. Anyway, so with that said, now we see China buying it. And that's been my whole premise. The guy's sitting there going, oh, well, JP Morgan's shorting it and the banks are shorting it. And, it's going to go down. No, it's not, because BRICS is buying it, which has been the whole impetus for 5 years now. As soon as BRICS started buying gold and silver, as the U.S. wants to play their little price fixing games, China and Russia, same thing. We'll take it at that price, which they can't. They don't have the metal. So this is why the COMEX is ending. I don't see it lasting much longer, another month or two, I guess. I don't know, like maybe you get 6 months out of it, but it's gone. And people wanting physical, especially silver and gold, they need gold. BRICS coming out with the gold-backed currency this month, so they need more gold and a higher price. So they're going to jack the price up, because if you're going to make gold-backed currency, you want the gold price to be very high so you can make more currency. You don't want to make at 4,500 an ounce. You want it at 10,000 an ounce. So we'll see much higher gold prices. Like I said, 44.91. Silver, it's just incredible. 82.49. I kept saying to my buddy, it's at 80. It's at 81. Now it's at 82. And I don't understand why silver doesn't move. Like gold's up $50 today. It was up $100 yesterday. I really don't know why silver is up 573. Should be up $50, $100 today. So once we start getting that, then we'll see our $1,000 silver. People are just stupid. They can't see it. Oh, it's $50. It's the all-time high. They don't know what they're talking about. There is no all-time high. You're talking about paper options. And I'm talking about physical gold and silver. You've never had a physical price before, so you can't say it's the all-time high. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So there is no all-time high because you don't have a physical price. And this price, 82.47, is not a physical price. It's still a monopoly price. So we'll see what happens. But that's what we have going on. I don't know what Trump's doing with Venezuela. Putin gave the order that he could do it. Putin got his gold and silver out of there. So did she. They airlifted it back to Russia and China. So the U.S. has probably a few bars left. I don't know what they're doing in Venezuela. Again, it just shows you the U.S. is broke. Basically, it also shows you the dollar is worthless because we need gold and silver. I was watching one video where the guy's talking about, well, the U.S. is paying off the $38 trillion debt. And it's something to do with the Federal Reserve, and it's something to do with we'll just pay ourselves off, and that'll pay down the debt. One of these Keynesian AI guys, he just doesn't get it. You can't do that. Well, why can't I do it, Howard? Okay, I'll critical think you and explain. You can't do it because you owe Russia, China, the BRICS countries. The people that bought the treasuries, the debt is the treasuries that you're selling. You need money, you don't have it. So you sell your treasuries because you can't just print money. So you're trying to sell your treasuries to get money in to pay for the Medicare and the interest on the debt and everything else. So you basically just ran in and increased your debt. Well, let's not pay it off. Okay, so what happens if you own a credit card and you just don't pay it off, or you don't pay your mortgage? What happens? You're in big trouble. You can't just ignore it. So this whole thing that we don't have to pay the debt or we're paying it to ourselves is bullshit. That's impossible because you owe people. If I owe Russia, China, Japan, all these countries who are buying our bonds, our T-bills, I owe them. That's what the debt is. They bought $1 trillion worth of our T-bills. I owe them that. I can't just ignore them. I can't just not pay them. I can pay the Federal Reserve, but then somebody's got to pay China, Russia, and all these countries. Then you have pension funds and insurance companies that have bought the treasuries for safety because they were stupid. And so you owe these people. That's your debt. That means you owe people. People have bought your treasuries and you owe them. You can't just pay yourself and say, oh, it's gone. Or you can't just sit there and say, well, I'll pay you in Bitcoin or, so we don't have gold. If we did, we could make the gold price higher and then pay them off in gold. But we can't just print money and because the money becomes worthless. If we could have, then why didn't we already? But you can't. You can't just print $38 trillion and say, here you go, everybody. They don't want it. And so you're not paying the debt off. You can't pay it off with dollars. You need gold or silver to pay it off with. Why we don't have it, I don't know. Then somebody said, well, JP Morgan got 25,000 tons of silver. Yeah, that's to pay off their short positions on COMEX. They have to pay it. So all these people that bought long, so when they short, China's buying long. And China's saying, I want delivery of these contracts. I want to get the physical gold because we can't get it anywhere else. We got silver at 82.54. You can't get it at 82.54 anywhere. Probably $150 to buy silver, especially for what these guys need it for, the industrial guys, right? So what are you guys talking about? I want it from you because it's very cheap and I can't find it from anyone else. That's why JP Morgan has to then settle with the physical. That's why they got all the physical. But again, it's not this value at 82.55 is nowhere close to the real value. It is not overbought. It is undervalued. The real value is you've been suppressed since 73, 74 when COMEX came in. You've been price fixed down and suppressed for 50 years. And you want to tell me 82.50 is overvalued because it's been bought for the last 2 months, going from like $30 to 82? No, it's not. It's not anywhere near its real value. Real value is close to $1,000. And that's conservative, right? It's not like the real value is it's really 60. I keep saying this isn't a stock, this is gold. That's it. And it's not anywhere near where it should be. That's why I say 1,000 is conservative. But I'm analyzing supply and demand. I'm analyzing What else can you put it in? It's a monopoly, basically. You put it in copper or gold or silver, and that's it. There's nowhere else to put it. So that's the biggest thing. So anyway, great news, but 82.45 is nowhere near where it should be. It should be, I say at least 10 times. And that's conservatively, but if you really look at it, there's so little silver supply and such big demand that who knows? We don't know what this is. Here's the real silver price floating up here, and here's COMEX. What this is, we don't know, but it's a hell of a lot higher. So don't worry, it's just going to keep going because people need it. They need it for their products, and they need it to get out of the dollar, which is worthless. And again, people just don't get that. All right. Let's look at college football. Tomorrow, no, Thursday. All right. Today's Tuesday. Thursday, we've got Miami 3.5, 51.5 to Old Mississippi. Miami's a 12 defense, Old Miss a 27, total of 51.5. The number hasn't moved. Everybody likes this Chambliss guy. All I know is defense beats offense 100% of the time. So Miami's defense will dominate this game. Chambliss will not have a good game. When I looked at Miami, there's one game that tells me what's going to happen. Actually, there's 3 games now. The South Florida game, who is a very explosive team, got 6 points on Miami. Then you got Texas A&M, very explosive team with a running quarterback, got 3 points. And Ohio State, who doesn't have a running quarterback, but a pretty explosive team, got 14 points? 24-14. So you think Old Miss's offense is better than A&M's, South Florida's, and Ohio State's? I don't think so. And to show you that Chambliss is running quarterback, I give you Marcel Reed of Texas A&M. Very shifty running quarterback. They got 3 points. Yeah, it was windy there, but okay. So when I look at it again, I got to go with the under. You can't. There's Miami with the 51.5. That's 57.5. So that's how I break it down. I just look at what we're trying to do is problem solve the game, right? So you're looking at the game to problem solve it. And what I'm doing is saying, can Ole Miss move the ball in this Miami defense? And I don't think they can. Miami probably can move on Ole Miss. So I think Miami wins the 12 defense, but the total of 51.5 is very high. It was 50 against Texas A&M, and it was 42.5 against Ohio State. So it's similar to the A&M game, a 50-point total, and they got 13-3, 10-3. Yeah, they missed a few extra points and field goals because of the wind. But so that's how I see it. I see this as a low-scoring game. And then Oregon, Indiana, or Indiana still 3.5, 46.5. Oregon with a 14 defense and Indiana with a 9. I do not like this quarterback of Oregon, that they think he's all that. I don't know how they arrive at their conclusions that he'll be a first-round draft pick. Are you kidding me? Dante Moore sucked at UCLA. He doesn't really do all that at Oregon. A lot of it is their style. Sort of like Alabama. I mean, they'd be explosive in college because of the good running backs and the good receivers and a good offensive line, and the quarterback had guys wide open all over the place. That was the offensive style. But when they get in the pros, they don't do anything. Dante Moore is not going to do anything in the pros. I don't think he'll be as good as Dylan Gabriel is. It's a mess. We'll go through the coaching fires in the NFL in a minute. So, what do I see in this game? I see Indiana. Now they killed, you still played Alabama 38-3. So I don't think they'll get 38. I still see the three. They got the 9 defense. Oregon with the 14 defense. Now Oregon shuts out Texas Tech, who was pretty good. They got the turnovers. So I see another low scoring game here. So 46 and a half. I'd go under 52 and a half. I think that's also too high. I think that line should be like 42, 43 for total. And Miami, Mississippi should be in the 45, 46 range. So we're getting almost a double teaser here. So I think both are under. Just the defenses. Oregon's going to struggle against Indy. Will Indy score? I don't think they'll put up big numbers like 38 against Oregon. They could surprise me. I don't buy Mendoza's all that. So when I look at it, the better coach, Indiana's. I don't like Oregon's coach at all. The better defense, the better quarterback. So all over the place, Indiana's the better team. And Miami, Mississippi. I'm not sold on Chambliss. The better defense goes obviously to Miami. The better coaching, both coaches suck. So I don't know, but I don't buy. You're going to put up a lot of points on Miami. So I go under with those. And then we get to the NFL. Not for long. If you rough like that, Jerry Glanville. Right, yeah. Ravens finally fired coach. What took them so long? Ravens fired coach John Harbaugh after missing playoffs, ending 8-year run. I would have fired him for playing Lamar the whole time. So let's take a look who's been fired. Okay, Black Sunday and Monday bled into Tuesday. Ravens fire Harbaugh. Should have fired him a long time ago. Dallas fired their defensive coordinator, Eberflus. Well, he was a real good head coach in Chicago. Why would you hire that guy as your defensive coordinator? What are you thinking? Not like the Bears had a good defense. Washington has reportedly moved on from defensive coordinator Joe Witt and mutually agreed to part ways with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. Still, they have a bad coach. Dan Quinn, he's not a good coach, but Daniels got hurt. And that goes to show you when I talk about, was it Belichick or Brady? Yeah, with Brady did all the winning. Mahomes or Reed, it's all Mahomes. If like here with Washington, Daniels gets hurt, they win 2 games. Last year they made the playoffs. So it's not the coach as much as it is the key players. Kingsbury is expected to receive head coaching consideration. Oh my God, why? And to have OC options. I would hire him as an OC, not a head coach. After assisting Jalen Daniels NFL breakout, he had nothing to do with it. Jalen Daniels came in as a stud anyway. Don't tell me he wants to take credit for that. You got to be kidding. Atlanta head coach Raheem Morris and general manager Terry Fontenot, who were both fired on Sunday after the Falcons finished 8-9. Former Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan also could be turning in a new role as president of football. What does Matt Ryan know about football? On Monday, the Cleveland Browns parted ways with head coach Kevin Stefanski. I don't know how you can blame him. He's had no quarterback. They were pretty competitive. I'm not sure that makes any sense. Who are you going to find that's as good as this guy in this situation? You got Prime Junior. I wouldn't take that job for $1 million. 2 hours after Stefanski, Oakland parted ways with Coach Pete. Huge mistake there. Not long after that, Arizona fired their coach, Jonathan Gannon. I don't know how you made him your head coach. Following his 3rd straight losing season. So the guy has to lose 3 times in a row, have a Z team, and then you finally fire him. You haven't figured that out yet. Now, you can blame Kyler Murray being out. I would. So a lot of it is that they're firing these guys. I don't know why. That makes no sense. Two head coaches, the Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan, and the Giants, Brian DeBall, lost their starting jobs this season already. Another whose status might have been in question, Indiana's Shane Stephan, is returning next season, although I don't know why. They fell apart. Along with GM Chris Ballard, the Cincinnati Bengals answered a similar question Monday, announcing the return. I can't believe they're bringing this guy back, Zach Taylor, and GM Duke Tobin for another season. What makes you bring back Zach Taylor? The only reason they're any good is because of Joe Burrow, not because of the coach. Among those who appear safe, Miami Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel's terrible. And they need a GM. Here's the rundown. So John Harbaugh, why he was fired. The Ravens were surprisingly mediocre this season, and it can't all be attributed to Lamar Jackson's injuries. Lamar Jackson should never have been the quarterback. That's why he should have been fired. As I said, Gannon, he was hired to help their defense. Their defense was, what was their defense? Arizona's defense. Let's see. Arizona was a Z team with a 34 defense. Yeah, he did a good job coaching that. But I love is the potential replacements. Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores, Cowboys offensive coordinator Clayton Adams, Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula was Don Shula's grandson. Rams defensive coordinator or Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. What is he? Kubiak's kid. Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Johnson, former Cowboys and Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. Really? What a bunch of crap. None of these guys are good coaches. Okay. Seattle offensive coordinator. Do they have a good offense? No. Broncos defensive coordinator. Okay, but is he a head coach? No. Mike McCarthy, we know, sucks. Brian Flores, Vikings defensive coordinator. Does that make him a good head coach? See, he's a good defensive coordinator. All he does is blitz. He's not really that good. Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula. The Rams don't have that strong defense. Is he a leader? Is he a good coach? You don't know. Pete Carroll. Why? Carroll was supposed to bring stability to the franchise, but it was more losing under the 74-year-old. The Raiders beat the Chiefs in the Sunday final to end the winning streak that dated to week 6. Season trade for Carroll's preferred quarterback never yielded much. They don't have an offensive line. What did you expect from him? I mean, they're not looking at the picture. It's not like they had this really good team and they fell back. They never had a good team. They didn't have players. You can't blame coach. So who are you going to bring in? And then they give the same potential replacement. You put any of these idiots in there and they're going maybe 2-15 next year. All right. So that's who got fired. And I don't see anybody that they're going to bring on is going to make a difference. All right. So let's look at the NFL. Now I'm going through the games and I went through I didn't put it on here. I went through the last 5 and I got that all set. But I didn't write it on. I had such a busy day. So I'll write it on a little bit and we'll talk about it tomorrow, but I have a good idea. The Rams, 10-46.5. Rams expect Devontae Adams back for the wild card game. Yeah, I would think so too. I like the game over because the Rams don't have that great of a defense, and neither does Carolina. I think Stafford lights it up. When you got a guy like Stafford, you're going to score a lot, and then it's that. So maybe the Rams -4, or I'd like the over for sure, 40. 46. I need 40. 21-20. Yeah. I went into the weather, but I didn't see it. Maybe it's on today. I went in and it had nothing. So I'm hoping that pops in because you need the weather. You need the cold or the wind. You got to be able to see that. Green Bay, Chicago. Green Bay's now a 1-point favorite. Chicago was. Green Bay won 46. Green Bay's the better team here, I think. Games in Chicago. Chicago needed a miracle to beat them the last time on an onside kick. I don't like Green Bay's coach, and then I don't like the fact they gave up an onside kick. It's a pretty weak team. Micah Parsons is going to hurt them. We'll see. I'm going to go to scores and odds and double check these lines. Buffalo won 52.5 over Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville as a very live dog here. Good defensive team and decent. They're an A team. Buffalo always has a weak defense. And then we got a total of 51.5. I think that just because Buffalo doesn't really have a defense, they've never had a defense. That's why they don't win any Super Bowls. Can't beat Kansas City. Jacksonville, yeah, their problem. Trevor Lawrence, terrible. So we'll see, but they're playing good defense. Hey, Behold, nice to see you. Sorry I'm on late, but shit happens. The 49ers, Eagles 4.5, 44.5. This was 3, 4.5, 40. I'll call it 45. Depending on weather, I think the Niners are a strong dog here, and I like the game over. Frisco has been scoring a lot. Philly, the problem with Philly, they're not scoring, so it makes it a good Niner game because you're not getting points from Philly. But again, you just need game in the 20s. And like I analyzed for Pitt and Baltimore on Sunday night, I said, shit, I only need 35 points. And I said, all I need is 20-17, which is what I got. And then I got a few more touchdowns. If I needed them, I wouldn't have got them, but I did get them. So let's see. So I think the Niners are playing well. And Philly really isn't scoring. So I think Frisco, I think they're a live dog here. I like the over. Frisco scores a lot. San Diego and New England. New England 3.5, 46. I like New England here, and I like the under. New England's a solid team, an A team. San Diego, I don't like the other Harbaugh, and I don't like their defense is okay. The injuries, no, they did get the running back. Herbert, okay, but he doesn't show up in big games. I think New England can win the game, and I think it's an under. Because San Diego's got a good defense, and New England's got a good defense. So I think this is one of those defensive games. And our last game is Houston 3 and 39.5 to Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. As much as I like Houston, I like their defense. I do not like C.J. Stroud. I can't imagine them going in and lighting up Pittsburgh. At Houston maybe, not at Pittsburgh. Why is it a Monday night game in the playoffs? So then let's say Houston wins, they're fucked. They got to then play the following week a playoff game on a Saturday or a Sunday. Absolutely fucked. So they lose a day and a half because these other games, I mean, look at the LA game Saturday. I mean, here they're playing Monday night, not Monday, but Monday night. No, thank you. They did not do them a favor. So I think we got Houston's great defense, Pittsburgh, TJ Watt's back, DK Metcalf's back. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. He'll figure out a way to beat Houston. I'm sure he's seen some great defenses in his 40 years, Aaron Rodgers. I think quick passes, DK Metcalf. I think they're trying to run Warren and Snackwell. We'll see, how much you can run on them. I guess the only thing is to see Pittsburgh against another good defense, and there's not one in their league. Baltimore is not really a good. Cincinnati has no defense, and Cleveland's pretty good defensively, but they're not going to struggle here. Big game. Aaron Rodgers will show up in it. I think it's a close game, and I think it's a low-scoring game. So I think at the end of the day, all right, now here's again, you got 39.5. Over 33 is 20-14, and you're over, which I think happens also. It's just too low. Yeah, I know Houston's got a great defense, but we'll see what Houston's defense is. Well, let's take a look at this game. Let's see what we can problem solve, right? So we've got so let's look at Pittsburgh against really tough defenses, if we can find them. So let's see. They beat the Jets's 31-17 with Seattle. New England, they won 21-14. They lost to Seattle 21-17, but they beat New England 21-14, 35. Minnesota, 24-21 game. So that's a 45. They beat Cleveland 23-9, a good defense. They put up 20. They lost to Cincy 33-31. Against Green Bay, good defense, 35-25 game. Against Indy, good defense, 27-20. Against San Diego, 25-10 San Diego. They struggled in the game, but it was still a 35. Then they beat Cincy 34-12. The Bears have a pretty good defense, 31-28. Buffalo, they get killed 26-7. I don't know what happened there, but it's still in the 30s. Baltimore, they beat 27-22. Miami doesn't count. Detroit, 29-24. They don't have no defense. Cleveland, the game that we can't figure out, they lost 13-6. And then they beat Baltimore 26-24. So they're scoring 20 points a game. And here you're asking them to do 33, but they don't. Did they play Houston? I don't recall. No, they did play Seattle, New England, Minnesota, Green Bay with Micah Parsons, San Diego. That's the only game that they lost 25-10, San Diego. Yeah, they didn't play Houston. So let's take a look at Houston. So Houston plays the Rams 14-9 week 1. They lose to Jacksonville 17-10. Let's get to some. They beat Baltimore. Baltimore didn't have Lamar 44-10. Against Seattle, now that's a similar type, 27-19. So they did struggle with a pretty good defense, but it was still a 46. The Niners, they win 26-15. That was a good defense. Denver beats them 18-15. So let's use Denver. Denver wins. The game was in Houston, 33. 33 is 39. We go to 33. So we can get that 18-15 against the Niners, 26-15. Jacksonville somehow is a 36-29 game. They have a good defense. Against Buffalo, they beat them 23-19. Indy 2016, KC, good defensive team, 20-10. That was a 30-point game. Arizona was high. Oakland, I don't know. They beat them 23-21. San Diego, they win 20-16 to 36. And then they beat Indy 38-30. So if we take it to 2016 against San Diego, is a 36. They win. It's on the road, barely beat Oakland. They kill Arizona. All right. They beat KC 20-10. Was that when Mahomes got hurt, I think? Beat Indy at Indy 2016. Beat Buffalo 23-19. Tennessee 16-13. I'm not seeing a lot of blowouts here. They lose to Denver 18-15. They beat the Niners 26-15. That was an 11. And then they lost to Seattle. All right. And then they beat Baltimore for when Lamar wasn't there. Jacksonville beat them. So what I'm seeing is not a lot of blowouts, and I see some of the points. So we sit there and go, look how good Houston's defense is. Okay, it's better at home on the turf. Here you got it on the road on grass. I think Pitt is a live dog with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, especially after beating Baltimore in a must-win game. They still have Derrick Henry, even though Lamar sucks. They still have a pretty good defense. Uh, Aaron Rodgers, without DK, was able to put up points and win the game. Again, I think it's an over, and I think it's a Pittsburgh. Houston doesn't blow out, and Pittsburgh at home with Aaron Rodgers, you can't. Oh, he sucks. He's 42. He sucks. No, that's not what I saw last week. He found the open guy. He drove him down, and they won the game. I don't know what happened with the wind at the end, if somebody is opening doors up and letting the wind blow or whatever. But so I think New England wins. I think Pitt is a good underdog here, as well as I think it's almost an over. I think you initially go under, but at 33, I just think that's way too low. They score. Houston scores. Pitt doesn't have the steel curtain. I mean, Joe Green and Mike Wagner and Mel Blount aren't playing in this game, and Lambert and Ham and Russell. They're not playing in this game. You have T.J. Watt. You have a decent defense. Let's look at the last five. 22 to Baltimore, 15 to Miami, who sucks, 24 to Detroit, the 13 to Cleveland, and 24 last week. So against decent offenses, they've given up 24 to Baltimore, Detroit, and 22 to Baltimore. Cleveland doesn't, against Prime Jr., holding them to 13 is not a big deal. Scoring 6 was kind of weird, but that was an anomaly. They put up 26 on Baltimore, 27 on Baltimore, 28 in Miami, 29 on Detroit. So they will score in the 20s, and we only need 33. I think that's the way to go. And then we have Houston gives up 30 to Indy, to Riley Leonard, 16 to San Diego, 21 to Oakland. How the hell do you do that? 20 to Arizona, and then 10 when I think Mahomes got hurt in the game. I think that was the game he got hurt. That was 5 games ago. And then they scored 20, 40, 23, 20, 38. So Houston scoring 20 on KC's defense is good. 20 on San Diego's is good. And he didn't have much of a defense. And then Oakland and Arizona, well, they don't have real strong defenses. So it's hard to say. But against KC and San Diego, they scored 20. So the bottom line is you're looking at a game in the 20s, and all you need is 33, which means you need 17, 16. But if the game's going into the 20s, and you know how these playoff games go, now we have to check the weather. And when I go to my weather, let's see if I get. See, I'm not getting. Oh, you know why? Because it's set at 2025. See, look at this thing. They got to set it for 2026. So that's why I'm not getting anything. So hopefully we get wild card 2026. That's why we're not getting weather. So I don't have any to expose. Hopefully it'll work soon. So when we go through it, we got what? LA, Stafford going against Steve Young. Big edge to Stafford there. They're laying 10. Okay. Total, I think I think it'll be high scoring. They played a 59. I think we need 40 here. Green Bay, Chicago. All right, let's go back to scores and odds and see if that's a fluke spread or a real spread. I got a 52.5 on the Miami, Mississippi game. And I got, well, let's see. Let's go into that. So what I like about this gives us 5, 6 casinos. 52, 52 and a half, 52, 52, 51 and a half. So we can get a 52 and a half with Miami. And then let's look at the Oregon Indy. The only good thing about this time of year, there's only 2 games to look at, and then a 1-gamer after that. Indy 3.5 in every casino, total wise, 47, 46 and a half, a couple 47s. So we can go 47 because we like the game under. All right, let's go NFL. And we got the Rams, 46 and a half. All right. 10 and a halves, 10 and a halves, 10s and 10 and a halves. Come on. All right, so there's 110 and then 10 and a half. So we can keep it at 10 for now. The Bears. They say this line open Green Bay -1, but I saw Chicago -1. It's -1, -1 and a half. Oh, come on. This page has become unresponsive. I don't know why. The scores and odds. They're trying to shove a commercial in at you. And so, okay, here's a pick. I do have a Bears -1. So it's Green Bay -1 and the Bears -1 and a pick. So you can take whomever as the dog there. And then the total 46s. There's some 45 and a halves and 46s. Yeah, we'll keep the. That's fine. Buffalo and Jacksonville. Let's see. We got Buffalo -1, -1 and a half. All right. There's one pick. There's 1.5. There's ones and 1.5. So we'll keep it at 1.5. Total 52 and a half. 52 and a half all over. So Buffalo's 51, 52. There's 52s if we're looking over. The Niners and the Eagles. Eagles 4.5, 44 and a half. Let's see what we get. Eagles 4.5. Fucking thing. All right, I see 4.5 at every casino. I don't know why that is. And then total 44 and a half all over the place. So we'll call it a 44. So 4.5, 44. All right. New England, San Diego. New England, 3.5, 46 and a half. It looks like 3.5 everywhere. Total 46, 46 and a half. All right. And our last game, Pittsburgh and Houston. I got Houston 39 and a half. All I can think is that 1979 championship game, Earl Campbell against the Steelers, and the Steelers killed him. That's the closest this is to Houston, Pittsburgh. Houston 3. It's all threes. Total 39 and a half. And there's 139. So if we're going under, we want the 39. So then it's only 33. We have to find the weather. And these idiots put down 2025. All right. I just got a message. Your car's blocking the lot. I can't get out. My car's in my parking spot, underneath my thing. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I love these messages. So that's what we got. So we got to find the weather. But that's why I come here. I'm looking for the best line. We've got Green Bay should be love against Caleb. Caleb looked pretty shitty last week. In a must-win game against the shit Lions, they're calling running plays where the Lions' weakness is passing. So you do got to question the offensive coordinator where's his head's at. And then the Lions with all these passes, well, that's what Green Bay is going to do. So yeah, this is definitely I think Green Bay is a live dog here. Let's check the weather, but I think that Green Bay might be our free play. Buffalo, Jacksonville, we got Josh Allen against Trevor Lawrence. Now, Lawrence stinks, but they've been running the ball more, and he's been running more. So he goes back, and he just is going back to run, basically. And then they run at Neen, and then their defense is much better. So I think Jacksonville is probably a live dog in this. Buffalo's not a good road team regularly. Frisco, we got Brock Purdy going against Hurts. Big edge to Purdy. Hurts is terrible. They're not scoring. I don't know why they're 4.5-point favorites here. Yeah, the Niners look at against Seattle, and they're going to face a very good defense with Philly. But Philly's offense is bad. I don't know. I mean, the Niners, do you look at the last game or do you look at the Bears game and the last game? And this is where people have problems betting. They look at the last game against Seattle and they go, oh, they lost. They couldn't score. Oh, I'll bet them against Philly. And that's the worst thing you can do. This is it's like poker. I got pocket aces this hand and I won. And now I got 8-9 of diamonds. Do I play it? Well, it's not that it's a totally different hand. Is somebody betting on you? Or are you just calling the blinds? You're just $3 the call and let's see the flop. I mean, the pocket aces were last hand. This is 8-9 of diamonds. This is totally different. And people have a problem with that. And when you're betting, you look at the last game, not the whole scope. That's what I do so well is look at the whole scope. That's why I'm giving you the last 5. And even then, if it's a bunch of bullshit games, I'm going to harder games like I did with Houston. All right, San Diego, Herbert will be back. I thought it was stupid that he didn't play last week against New England. Drake May, who I think is very overrated, but he's starting to throw better. I think this is the one game I think New England beats him. The only problem, the problem with Carolina, the Bears, Jacksonville, New England is they haven't been there before. And there's that extra pressure like Jared Goff. To win the game, Jared Goff doesn't show up against Pittsburgh. He doesn't show up against Green Bay. He didn't show up against Minnesota, right? They blitzed him. He got all flustered. Then against Chicago, a game that they don't need, he wins. But in the game you needed against Minnesota, he threw 5 turnovers, 5 interceptions. And that's what I'm talking about, pressure. In this game, you've got New England's never been there before. Drake May never played a playoff game. He didn't do anything in the ACC. North Carolina never challenged for the division. So you're sitting there, how is he under pressure? And this is what you really got to look at. And this is why I tend to go over under more because I can't really try. I don't have any track record of Drake May in a playoff game. Trevor Lawrence, I can't imagine him doing anything. He did win that one playoff game when the one team, and it was against San Diego through four. They were blitzing him, and then they stopped blitzing him, and they gave up, and then they ended up coming back. That was his only win because they stopped blitzing him. Caleb has no experience in a big game, and Steve Young, terrible in a big game. So you give the big edge to Stafford. You kind of give an edge to Love. Yes, Josh Allen, Hurts and Purdy, dead even. And they've been playing each other a lot, so it's nothing big. And this is a playoff game. So I think the Niners will play very well in the game. Probably too much Philly defense, but again, you're getting 10.5 where you're going. I think the over there. Herbert and May with no experience. Great defense with New England and San Diego. They both have good defenses from that standpoint. And, is Herbert much better than May? Hampton, the running back's back for that, although San Diego's still missing their 2 tackles. And New England just is playing well, and they're at home, and it'll probably be cold. So I'd give an edge to New England there, especially Sunday night. And then Houston Pitt, CJ Stroud, who's terrible. You only got 1 touchdown on Oakland. Jesus Christ. Pittsburgh, Bradshaw, quarterback? No. They're going with Aaron Rodgers. If they had Aaron Rodgers back in the 70s with that defense, they would have won 7, 8 Super Bowls. Bradshaw was kind of weak, but they would have won like in 72 when they won on the Immaculate Reception. They would have won. They would have beat Miami in that playoff game and won the Super Bowl. You don't remember that? After that Immaculate Reception, Pitt had the Miami undefeated team at Pittsburgh, and they were winning the game, and then there was a fake punt, and Pittsburgh wasn't prepared for it, and then Miami scored a late touchdown to win. I think they won like 20-16. But you don't think of that. You see Miami, and then Miami killed Washington in the Super Bowl. Well, I guarantee you Pitt would have killed Washington, right? So, and then they would have won 73. So if Aaron Rodgers was there, they won 72, 73, 74, 75, 78, 79. So they would have won 6 Super Bowls instead of Bradshaw. But Rodgers still has it. He wouldn't be there if he didn't. He's 42. He's got money. He's there because he wants to win. He wants to go out. You get DK Metcalf back. Plus they won with who they had, and then the running backs are very good. The line's good. TJ Watt's back. Houston's got a defense and CJ Stroud. That's it. So I think where I thought it would be a low-scoring game, again, we got to check the weather. I think the weather is good because I'm seeing 46s, 51 in Jacksonville, where if we had a lot of wind and a lot of weather, we'd be seeing every game in the 30s. And the Pitt game is 39. I think it's just because Houston's defense is so strong that they don't think they'll score a lot. Well, it's not much different than Baltimore, pretty good defense. And that's the thing, when they change coordinators, all of a sudden the team just doesn't look the same. You go, they got the same players. And Harbaugh got fired because he had Lamar as quarterback. If he didn't have Lamar, if he would have used Lamar as wide receiver and had Huntley as quarterback, they would have probably lost 1 or 2 games, and that would have been it. All right. So out of that, we got to check the weather. And then I'm probably leaning towards Green Bay as the dog, as the free pick, depending on weather. I also like the game over 46. Chicago doesn't have a good defense. They're bend and don't break. And look for Green Bay. I mean, they got there down there 4 times and finally got over. I think Buffalo, Jacksonville is high scoring. Frisco, Philly should be high scoring. San Diego, New England. I don't know if I trust San Diego enough, but New England is a high scoring. They're a solid A team, right? And then Houston, Pitt. I like it under, except for it's so low at 33. I can't imagine you're not gonna, I go to the Denver Houston game was 18-15, and they kicked like 6 field goals in the game. And that game was at Houston. So I think here with Aaron Rodgers, uh, he'll get better. That one guy yesterday said he doesn't like Bo Nix. Like, why? Bo Nix, all he does is win. You cannot like him. I don't know why. He's able to run a little bit, and he's very accurate, and he wins. I'll be betting Denver the next round. So I think that's pretty much covering it. Unfortunately, I'll bring in my last five and my grades, and then I'll try to find the weather. These idiots didn't put 2026 in yet, so hopefully by tomorrow or Thursday they'll put it in. Otherwise, I'll just have to fish. So we've got the Miami game. College is Thursday, and then Friday is the Oregon game leading up to the Saturday, Sunday, and for some strange reason, they're fucking Houston, Pittsburgh by making them play Monday night in a playoff game, which is highly unusual and very bad. So let's say Houston wins. Now they got to go play, they're going to go play the 1 seed at Denver on probably Saturday night. And they're going to lose 2 days. What the fuck? Never go. It was always Saturday, Sunday. It'd be 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. Oh, but let TV run it, and they'll put it on Monday night so they can get viewers, even though it fucks the teams over. So the product gets hurt. I mean, it's really hard to understand that the league just, sells out the TV and, hey, let's have a game. Let's have a game on Monday night for the playoffs. You can't do that, Chuckles. You can do it if you want at the championship game. You can, like when you're down to the last 2 games, and then you could do Sunday and Monday then, and then the Super Bowl's 2 weeks. Not a problem. But that would be stupid because you're missing the point. These TV guys are just, it's like the idiots running Vegas into the ground. These TV guys, what are you doing? You own Sunday. You have 3 games on Sunday, not 2 and a Monday nighter. Sunday is their night. Nobody wants to watch this game Monday night. We want to watch the game Monday night. So it's just ridiculous. Anyway, that's your football. So we see the new coaches. Of that list of who they're going to hire, they'll be fired in the next year or two, too. Nobody good on the list. There's no Don Shula. There's no, Dick Vermeil or Chuck Knoll or Chuck Knox or, Lombardi types, Bill Walsh types, Bill Parcells. There's nothing like that. Joe Gibbs, there is no coach like that. It's amazing how bad the coaching's got. And it goes back to the same thing with the whole bullshit of I got a ref 2 feet away, called it inbounds, but I'm going to review it. Why are we looking at the review? So we were watching this stupid thing, right? And it says that people can't concentrate and there's all these little things and they're doing it on purpose. So instead of just keeping the flow of the game, they take the game and then let's have a review. Yeah, I know the ref was this far away, right there and made the call, but you know what? We're going to review it anyway. Where did that come from? Why are we reviewing that play? The plays in question are when the guy was out of bounds and they go, oh, it was out of bounds. And, oh, look, and they missed it. Oh, so let's review every fucking play now. And then some crucial ones are, well, we can't review that one. I love that one. Well, why don't you just review every play? Why? What do you mean you can't review that? Anyway, so that is football. Again, in our gold, let's see what gold and silver is doing. Now China has the ball, so we should see this going up. Well, it's 82.48 and gold is 44.73, dropping a little bit at 8 o'clock for some reason. I always love these drops, right? What is going on here? Nobody's selling. Again, this is the problem with the derivatives. So we're still at 44.73. We got 80.39 and over. It was 80.50, I think, when we started. I think, no, it was 82, I think. Yeah, it was 82.50. All right, so it's taking a little bit of a jump again at 10 o'clock, at 8 o'clock. China, again, I don't get the big options, but then just as easily it jumps up. So it's volatile because the trading isn't that heavy and these are options. And all we care about is physical. My battery's really low. There's one film I wanted to send. All right, so I started showing you this, the end of critical thinking, and I'm going to start it in the middle where I left off.
The other guys say that we're a bunch of faceless chefs, but that's because we're spending time in the kitchen. At Factor, we make meals the same.
Okay.
And once this conditioning begins, it doesn't stop.
So this is critical thinking, which means, to put it simple, we just problem solve football. We looked at the games, we tried to figure them out. And when people tell you things, you have to figure it out. Oh, I'm not in gold because I'm in the stock market. And okay, why are you in the stock market? Why don't you like gold? See, they're not asking the critical question. They're just telling you, and they're not comfortable going into gold, so they don't. And this is the problem. So anyway, this is what this is about, is the critical thinking of people asking why, why does the sun, set in the west, and why did the Bears lose, or why did the Packers win, or whatever it is. That's what you're looking at. So it's 20 minutes long, but I'm gonna start at the 6-minute mark and go about 5-6 minutes, and just enough to kind of show some examples.
In the classroom, it extends into the media we consume, the jobs we take, and the lives we build. The modern media landscape is no longer a tool for information. It's an instrument of manipulation. News outlets compete not to inform, but to provoke. Algorithms show us not what we need to know, but what keeps us emotionally charged, divided, and engaged. Every click, every scroll, every outrage is monetized. In this digital coliseum, critical thinking is not rewarded. Emotion is. The more reactive you are, the more valuable you become. As journalist Matt Taibbi described, we don't have information wars anymore. We have anger wars. And anger, fear, and distraction are the perfect tools to ensure that people never pause long enough to ask, who benefits from my ignorance?
Just a second. I want to point out this clown. So this is Mr. Fuji, an AI guy. And what is he doing? He's doing emotional. I mean, look at his face. Will you ever see my face look like that? So he's all like screaming or yelling, or his voice is up, and he's trying to draw emotion. Bank of America surrenders, issues $309 alert, trying to say that the silver price will hit 309. It's an emotional thing. That's what this idiot tries to do. Bank of America, so what does it have to do with anything? We know it's going to 1,000. We don't, I don't, I mean, it's so stupid, but that's what this is just saying. Idiots like that are AI are doing emotional to you. And I noticed that Andy Scheckman does that a lot. Alligator does that a lot. A lot of these big Dadalios and people like that, they're just trying to get emotion out of you. So you watch it. It's all bullshit, right? It's not real. I'm not using emotion. I'm teaching you what's going on. All right, back to this.
Human beings are becoming inherently dumber. It's that we are being programmed to remain intellectually passive. We outsource our thinking to influencers, celebrities, and commentators who tell us what to believe, what to hate, and what to feel. reflection, is noise. And noise, when repeated long enough, becomes the soundtrack of a culture in decline. The late philosopher Marshall McLuhan once said, "The medium is the message." In other words, the way we receive information shapes the way we think. When we consume endless short-form content, our minds adapt to that rhythm, fast, shallow, and impulsive. This constant stimulation leaves no room for deep comprehension, for patience, or for critical analysis. Our economy thrives on this superficiality. A distracted person is the perfect consumer. A restless mind buys more, scrolls more, and questions less. Entire industries are built on the premise that your attention can be captured, fragmented, and sold. The more you react, the more valuable you become, not as a thinker, but as data. And while we are entertained, the collective intelligence of society quietly erodes. We are raising generations who no longer read books, but rely on summaries. Who no longer debate ideas, but cancel opposing voices. Who no longer seek truth, but validation. The tragedy is not that people are losing intelligence, but that they are losing the desire to be intelligent. Psychologist John Twenger, in her research on generational trends, discovered a sharp decline in critical thinking and analytical skills among young adults. She attributes this partly to digital immersion, a life lived behind screens, where image matters more than insight. This constant connection has paradoxically created emotional and intellectual isolation. People are surrounded by information, yet starving for understanding. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you changed your mind about something important? In a culture that rewards certainty and punishes doubt, we've forgotten that the hallmark of intelligence is not having the right answers, but asking better questions. And that's exactly what has been lost. The courage to question, the patience to understand, the humility to admit we don't know. In the next part, we will go even deeper into the psychological and social mechanisms that make this dumbing down process not only possible, but profitable. You'll see how we've been subtly trained to accept mediocrity, to glorify ignorance, and to fear intellectual independence. And you'll begin to understand why the smartest people in history warned us that this moment would come. Because, as we'll soon uncover, this is not just a cultural problem. It's a crisis of consciousness. And the system is built to keep it that way. We live in an era where distraction is currency and attention is the most valuable commodity. Every second of your focus is being fought over by companies, platforms, and institutions that have learned one simple truth: a distracted mind is an obedient mind. And the more fragmented your attention becomes, the easier it is to influence your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately, your beliefs. This isn't accidental. It's a system, a design. Psychologist B.F. Skinner, one of the pioneers of behavioral conditioning, demonstrated that if you reward people randomly, they will keep repeating an action endlessly. That same principle is used in every social media app today. Every notification, every like, every new video is a tiny dopamine reward, a digital treat that keeps you hooked. We've become lab rats in a psychological experiment we never consented to. But the consequences of this go far beyond wasted time. Constant exposure to digital noise is changing the structure of our brains. Studies in neuroplasticity show that what we pay attention to literally rewires our neural pathways. When our minds are trained for speed, novelty, and instant gratification, deep thinking feels uncomfortable, silence becomes unbearable, and boredom, once the birthplace of creativity, now feels like a problem to be solved. Author Nicholas Carr, in his book The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains, explains that we are losing our ability to concentrate for long periods. He writes, "What the net seems to be doing is chipping away my capacity for concentration and contemplation. This slow erosion of attention is the silent epidemic of our age. And it's not just making us less intelligent, it's making us easier to control. Because when people no longer have the patience to think, they start to believe whatever is easiest to believe. The truth becomes less about evidence and more about emotion. In this climate, propaganda thrives, not through censorship, but through overload. When everything is information, nothing is truth." The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned that the ideal subject of a totalitarian regime is not the convinced Nazi or the committed communist. It is the person for whom the distinction between fact and fiction no longer exists. And that,
Just a second. I want to get to the point. So they're trying to get you where you can't concentrate. So this is our problem when we try to help people with gold and silver. People don't believe that, they don't know what to believe. And so the question is, why should I believe you? When you're telling me to buy gold and silver, why should I? So I have to walk them through and explain. But even if I explain the money is worthless, they don't believe it because they don't know what to believe. So they're just being told the money's fine, the inflation is 2%, so they believe that. And so they can't uh, think and understand because they're so inundated and controlled now that they just do what's the path of least resistance. Well, I got money and I don't have to touch it, so I'll just leave my money in my 401k. And the stocks are fine. They haven't fallen. They haven't crashed yet, even though we know they're going to. Again, we don't know the date, but we know they will. So let's play it safe and to get your money out of the stock market and out of money, and we'll see when it happens. But it's not if it'll happen, it's when it'll happen. So we're sitting in gold and silver, and now we're seeing it zoom. We're seeing gold, silver over 82. We're seeing gold really close to 4,500. So that's what we're seeing, and so we are check. We said that, and that's true, and that's what's happening. And that's the problem with people. They just don't know what to believe, and therefore they can't think. They just whatever's easier, whatever makes sense, whatever fits into the description is what people are doing now. So that's why when we try to explain to our friends and family, hey, buy gold and silver, they don't they just don't have the comprehension to think and understand, and they don't want to. I'm fine. I got money. I'm fine. They just don't know, and they can't think anymore. That's how manipulate and control. That's the problem with this whole internet, the social networking. That's why I'm not on Facebook. I really don't do a lot on Twitter, and this is the only thing I do. But we're talking. Now, so far, I think when I study football, it keeps my mind into studying. So I'm very good at studying it based on my mind studying it, right? You know what I mean? So if I keep practicing, digging in and understanding the football and the gold, I keep my mind sharp versus people that just, oh, I got a like and I get this and I get that. And oh, he likes what I said and they like my picture. I mean, these people are idiots, but that's the problem, right? And that's why I stay away from all that. I don't want to be on social network. I don't buy it. I think it's very criminal. So I stay away. This is just how do I do a podcast? How do I do a video to teach? This is my avenue for it. A little bit more.
Tragically, describes much of our modern culture. We are bombarded with so much content that we no longer know what to trust. Instead of verifying, we simply absorb. Instead of thinking, we react. The result is a kind of intellectual numbness, a paralysis of analysis. People feel informed yet powerless, connected yet isolated, surrounded by opinions yet starved for understanding. And this is exactly the environment where mediocrity thrives. Look around. Everywhere we see the glorification of ignorance disguised as authenticity. Intelligence is mocked as elitism, and simplicity is celebrated as virtue. The more complex the world becomes, the more we cling to comforting illusions. Psychologist Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And in this age, the soul we avoid facing is our own intellect. This is why critical thinking is now a radical act. To think deeply is to resist. To question is to rebel. In a society built on distraction, attention itself becomes a form of power." But how did we get here? How did we build a world where the tools meant to liberate the mind became the very chains that bind it? The answer lies in how we've redefined progress. For centuries, progress meant the expansion of understanding, the pursuit of truth, the refinement of reason, the mastery of the self. But today, progress is measured in speed and convenience. Faster downloads, shorter videos, quicker answers. We no longer value knowledge for its depth, but for its accessibility. This constant acceleration has created what philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the burnout society, a culture of exhaustion, where people are overwhelmed not by lack of information, but by its excess. In his words, we are not running out of time because there is too little of it. but because we have filled it with too much. And that exhaustion dulls the mind. It creates citizens who are too tired to question, too distracted to care, and too overwhelmed to act. The perfect environment for manipulation. So ask yourself, when was the last time you truly thought about your own thinking? When was the last time you disconnected from the noise long enough to feel your own mind breathe? Because the real tragedy of this generation is not that we lack intelligence, it's that we've forgotten how to use it. In the next and final part, we will reveal the ultimate truth behind this phenomenon, the hidden reason why the system benefits from keeping people intellectually weak. You'll discover what the ancients knew about consciousness, why modern society fears awakening, and most importantly, how you can break free from this engineered stupidity. The last revelation may challenge everything you think you know about intelligence itself, but once you see it, you can never unsee it. At the heart of this crisis lies a profound truth. The system does not want you to think. Not truly, because a thinking individual is unpredictable. A thinking individual questions, resists, and sees beyond illusion. And nothing is more dangerous to control than a mind that has awakened to its own power. When philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe," he was describing precisely what we see today, a mass culture that punishes independent thought and rewards conformity. The tribe has simply become digital. Instead of being burned at the stake, thinkers are now burned on social media, ridiculed, silenced, and exiled from the comfort of collective approval. We are told what to believe, how to feel, and what side to take, and we obey not because we are forced, but because we fear isolation. The modern system has perfected what ancient rulers could only dream of, voluntary submission through psychological conditioning. The dumbing down of humanity is not a side effect of progress. It is the mechanism by which control is maintained. A distracted, divided, and emotionally unstable population cannot organize, cannot resist, and cannot evolve. The ancient philosopher Plato warned that when ignorance governs the mind, society collapses into chaos. He called it the tyranny of the ignorant, where people prefer comfortable lies to uncomfortable truths. And isn't that exactly where we are? Surrounded by knowledge but starved of wisdom, drowning in voices but unable to hear truth. We live in what author Neil Postman foresaw, a culture that doesn't need to be censored because it is too entertained to care. Bread and circuses have become likes and followers.
Trading isn't about being early, it's about being accurate. AI does both. If you're still spending 20
have become likes and followers. But here's the revelation, the one I promised from the beginning, the most powerful truth of all. Intelligence is not something we are losing. It's something we are surrendering. Every time we let a screen think for us, every time we accept an answer without questioning it, every time we trade reflection for convenience, we give away a fragment of our sovereignty. And that
Now, isn't that what AI is? It's thinking for us. We're not, we're just reading it. This is why I hate AI, because you're taking that, let me figure it out of it. Let me come to my conclusion out of it. AI is telling you basically what to think, or giving you things that you don't question. Oh, what's the capital of Minnesota? Whatever. And you don't question it. Where before you'd go on a map and it'd say, or capitals, and you'd get it. You're not doing the work to come up with the answer anymore. And that's what I fear about AI. It's probably the worst thing that has ever been invented. It's taking all the day, it's feeding you what to think and how to react, and it's very dangerous. The other things I thought about was between the Wizard of Oz and the Matrix, where you don't want to pull the curtain back to find out what the real thing is. And then the Matrix, we're waking up, right? We're the people that are awake in the Matrix. And we realize it's just a bullshit system where that's what's happening. Everybody's just going along. They don't think, and they go to work. They don't do anything. They don't think why. They don't ask why. And we are awake. And that's the other thing I thought of when I heard some of these comments. All right, a little bit more, and we're almost done.
Surrender, repeated over generations, creates the illusion that intelligence itself is vanishing. But it isn't gone. It's dormant, waiting to be reclaimed. The philosopher René Descartes once said, "I think, therefore I am." But today we might say, "I scroll, therefore I forget." To reclaim our minds, we must remember what it means to think. not as an act of ego, but as an act of freedom. To think is to reclaim your attention, to observe your thoughts without being ruled by them, to choose silence over noise, to seek understanding over validation. Thinking is not a luxury. It is a moral responsibility in a world built on manipulation. If you wish to escape the gravitational pull of collective stupidity, start by doing what the system fears most: disconnect. Create distance between yourself and the constant stream of stimulation. Read deeply. Reflect slowly. Ask questions no algorithm can answer. Because wisdom is not found in data, it is born in reflection. The ancients understood this. The Greek Stoics practiced stillness to master the mind. The Buddhists practiced mindfulness to dissolve illusion. Even modern psychologists like Viktor Frankl discovered that meaning is not found in what happens to us, but in how we interpret it. That's what separates the conscious human from the conditioned one, the ability to choose thought over reaction. And that's the hope. Despite everything, we are not doomed to stupidity. The same tools that enslave us can also free us, if we learn to use them consciously. Technology is not the enemy. The enemy is unconsciousness. When we use tools mindfully, they amplify intelligence. When we use them blindly, they replace it. So the question becomes, will you remain a consumer of noise or become a creator of thought? Because this generation still has a choice. It can continue down a path of distraction where depth disappears and consciousness collapses. Or it can awaken and remember that intelligence is not measured by what we know, but by our capacity to understand, to question, and to grow. This awakening begins in silence. It begins when you put the phone down, close the screen, and sit with your own thoughts long enough to remember that your mind is not a product. It's a universe, a living, breathing field of consciousness capable of infinite expansion. When you feed it only fragments, it withers. But when you nurture it with depth, with reflection, with truth, it evolves. That is how civilizations rise, not through machines, but through minds that refuse to be programmed, minds that dare to imagine a better reality and then create it.
And that's why we're here, because that's what we do, is deep thinking, and we try to figure out things. And that's exactly what we're doing with football and gold and everything else. We're trying to figure out, we're trying to analyze, critically thinking why should Pittsburgh beat Houston? Why should Houston beat Pittsburgh? We're trying to problem solve it, which is critical thinking. And that's what he's talking about. We're not like, let me go to AI and see what AI says. Oh, AI says Houston's going to win the game, so I'll bet Houston, without any thought of why. Why should I follow AI? Why should I bet Houston? Why should I bet Pittsburgh? Over or under. I like the game under, but then you made it 39, and I'm going, well, shit, 33, unless there's 5 degrees and 80-mile-an-hour winds, is probably an over game. Even though I do like Houston's defense, but they played a 44 game with Oakland. I mean, what the fuck was that? All right, I think that's it. I'll be on in the morning. Let's see. So let's see our gold and silver. So gold 44.72. So it was up to 44.98. Not a big deal. Silver's 80.28, but it's very volatile. So we got it up to 82. And then something happens at 8 o'clock, and it dropped back to 80 and then just kicked back up to 80.35. So it was 82 and change, then down to 80 back, and it slid. It goes from 82 all the way down to 80.78. What is that? Why is it down $2 in 2 minutes because of an option? This is the part that we don't like and we don't understand. And once we get rid of COMEX, we won't be dealing with this. So it looks like it's starting to move back up. So they did sell options, and then here comes the buying back. So what happens is the buyer lets the option go down. Instead of paying 82.50 for it, he pays 80 for it. And now it's back to 83, and then it'll run up to 81, 82. So it's just a big game they're playing. and 40. And notice it's the same chart with gold. So 44.70, virtually identical. So I think we have gold sitting in the 44s nicely. It should hit 45 tomorrow. And once it breaks 45, then we'll see this 45.30 dance, and then finally up to 46, and then up to 47. So it keeps dancing a little bit, and then finally it'll break, 45, and then it breaks 46, and off it goes. Critically thinking, it's it's very high demand, very low supply, and the triggers this, it's not worth anything. So we have the boat hitting the Titanic hitting the iceberg, causing the water to come in, causing the boat to sink, and you got to get off the boat. And that's what's happening now. They printed it to death, and you got to get out of dollars because it's not worth anything. So forget that there's a debt of $39 trillion. That's not even, you've printed this. This has no value, and that's not going to come back no matter what happens to the debt. The dollar's worthless because you've printed too much of it. So because of that, you get to the lifeboat, which is reason number two, you're in gold and silver. There's no option. You got to get out of the dollar. It's not worth anything. And it's not worth anything because nobody wants it. BRICS is not dealing in dollars anymore. They're launching their gold-backed currencies. Gold should jump in the next couple of weeks based on this launch of this gold-backed currency in BRICS, China, Russia, India, and everything. And then you have, obviously, silver is a little bit different because you also have the industrial uses of it, the electronic stuff. And then it's also because the boat hit the iceberg. So you're getting out of the dollar. Also, you go into silver because that is money. So there's 2 points on silver, and they're very limited. There's not a lot of silver and gold, and you can't print them. You can't just, let's make more. I mean, you can't do that. So basically, it's a no-brainer. Once you think it out, you go, yeah, gold should keep going up, and silver's going to go up twice as fast because it's been so suppressed. And here comes, the dollar's out, and we need silver, and we need for business, and we need it for us, for money wise. So for operations, we need silver to make products. So there's that, and then everybody will start realizing you need it for dollar. So the key is once people realize the dollar is worthless, then you're going to really see this go. So that's why I say this is not overvalued at all. This is very, very undervalued. And that's why I say I think gold's 10 times more. It's 45,000. I'm being conservative. And I'm not out of my mind. I don't, you've got to ignore COMEX. COMEX is bullshit. It's paper. We're looking at very limited physical. We're looking at BRICS gold-backed currency. So everybody's on gold, and they're not using the dollar. And the treasuries, the $38 trillion debt, you owe these people, you owe these countries. You can't just not pay them. I mean, I suppose you can, but then your country's gone. Nobody would ever buy from you again. So there goes anyway. So that's about it. It's a little late, almost 9. So I'll be on in the morning. 80.26 silver, 44.66 gold, but that's now China's got the ball. It should go up. Like now is a good time for us because China has it. And that's about it. The Venezuela thing, I don't know. The Ukraine war it's over, but they won't surrender. So we'll see what happens there. Jenna wants to take a bus from Odessa to Berlin, and she wants to move to Berlin, and she said, I can't get a job and all this and that. So she's going, and she's taking the bus, and the bus is $116. So I'll help her with that. And that's it. So anyway, that's what's going on. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. I just got to check the weather for the NFL game. Probably giving Green Bay as the dog as the free play. And in college, we can go. Let's go Indiana, Oregon under as the free play. But I don't know if I have a lock yet. I got to again look at the injuries and look at the weather. And it's only Tuesday, so normally for the pros, we'll look tomorrow. For college, we got to move up. It's Thursday, and we gotta hopefully if we can find an injury report, but I think they'll tell us pretty much. Anyway, so that's football. So we got another couple weeks of pros to the Super Bowl, and the college. This is the Final Four. So my guess it's Miami and Indiana, and those are the best two teams. Forget the records; those are the best two teams. They prove it. They beat Ohio. Miami beat Ohio State. You think they're going to lose to Ole Miss after beating Ohio State? Wow. I don't think so. They scored 24 on them, and Miami had Ohio State had an 8 defense. They put up 24 on them. So yeah, I think it's Miami, Indiana, and Indiana killed Alabama. And how many times have you heard that? Now Oregon did beat Texas Tech, which makes you think, okay, let's maybe go under in the Oregon game. So we'll see. Anyway, that's it for now. And I will talk to you tomorrow. So apologize for being on a little later, but these are videos. They're live, but then there's videos also. So go from there. And I know I will be on normal time tomorrow morning. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Please let me know if you have any other questions, comments. Gold and silver, we're zooming. And inflation is thousands of percent. And don't let them kid you on that. These wars are just because the U.S. is broke and trying to steal gold and oil from these countries. It's a joke, and it's very, it's very embarrassing being an American. Because I got a lot of European friends, and I just I'm sorry, this is one of the worst run countries I've ever seen. And keep thinking. Ask why. Why is this? How does this work? Why is this? Why is that? Ask those questions. When you lose a football bet, ask, why did I lose? And then you'll go from there. All right. Have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.